You work at Disney, a place built on imagination.
Ironman or the triathlon was the thing that I focused on in terms of learning this year and training for.
People think balance is complicated. You're showing it's just a few smart decisions repeated over time.
You fill your cup, you feel like, okay, I'm at peace with where I'm at right now, and that, I think, makes you feel free. I don't look at things as necessarily failures, but they're learning opportunities.
You're a living proof that freedom isn't a number in a bank account.
If you can tap into what really makes someone excited and what makes something magical, that is where your bread and butter is.
You just dropped a master class right there.
I always said I won't wait till I retire to be happy.
You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You created freedom with the time and resources you had.
Creating something that you could see being used by others and then iterating based on their feedback was so interesting to me.
That curiosity shows up in your work, but also in your life.
AI taking over certain things, but that will spark new things. Like same as the Industrial Revolution, same as every single change in history that we've had, something will maybe burn to the ground, but then something else will grow in its place.
Welcome back. Today on Beyond the Summit, I'm sitting with someone who doesn't just design products. She designed a way of living. Sarah Das is a product designer at Disney, a brain station instructor, and one of the most quietly powerful voices in the design community. Her work blends art, tech, and human behavior. But what inspired me most isn't just her career. It's how she lives. Sarah finds every window of time to explore the world, chase adventure, join races, discover new cultures, and say yes to the moments most people think they are too busy for. She works full-time. She mentors designers, she teaches, but somehow she still manages to build a life that's full of travel, movement, curiosity, and real freedom. Today, we unpack her story, her mindset, her habits, her failures, and the small decisions that helped her build life for health, wealth, and freedom, long before financial freedom arrives. Sarah, I'm excited for this.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Sarah, before we get into design, travel, AI, all the fun stuff, I want to start with you as a person. When someone meets you outside the job title and the portfolio, who are you at your core?
I would say I've always been a very curious person. I think that's what has really shaped who I am today. Curious about the world, curious about others, curious about, again, design that helps me in my job. I'm always asking a lot of questions. And I always like a good adventure as well. So I think that's really shaped me ever since I was young. My mom was always like, you always were asking what we were doing next. So I'm still like that today, always trying to chase something that will bring me joy and fulfill my life even more.
Just hearing that gives context to your entire lifestyle. That curiosity shows up in your work, but also in your life. Always exploring, always learning. I really love that.
Thank you.
Was there a moment when you realized design wasn't just something you're good at, but the lens through which you actually see the world?
Yeah, I think I always, ever since I was young, was very much driven to go towards the arts. So even when I was, a quick story, my mom, when I was in kindergarten, the teacher was like, this is what your daughter did. It was very detailed. And then she was showing the rest of the art and said, naturally, I was very much hands-on and good at art and design and just the way I looked at things. It came up again in high school that I was always figure drawing and really hands-on in terms of the arts. But yeah, part of me tried to kind of move away from that a bit because of sometimes the stigma around becoming an artist or becoming creative. When we were younger, it was not necessarily a career that was encouraged, maybe do art as a hobby, but not necessarily as your focus in a career. So I moved away from that a bit. When I went to school, I got more into the printing industry and then ended up finding this digital space. And that's kind of what really lit me up. So creating things and seeing people use them, that was really, creativity was always at my core. It was just finding that outlet and that thing that I could actually run with and start working on as a career path.
I love how you frame that because most people pick a career, you pick the way to think, and that's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And your path wasn't linear. You studied new media, minored in entrepreneurship, explored installations, tech, art. What pulled you specifically into product design?
Yeah. So the program I ended up graduating in, which was new media, and we dabbled in many different mediums. So we did robotics, web design, film, photography, and then and I thought I was going to be a graphic designer. Honestly, that was sort of the career path I was on. And what ended up changing the trajectory was this class that I took. It was called like Media and Mixed Realities. And the professor was just starting to work on a startup called Flybits back when I was in school. And we, at that time, were looking at very simple apps. It was very much just like recommendation apps, like you like Indian food and here are the Indian restaurants around you. We recommend you to go here. And like dating apps were just becoming a thing at that time, like Tinder and like those apps that were recommending, oh, you have these potential matches in your area, just very simple apps like that. And many people weren't even really using apps at the time, but this teacher or this professor really sparked that interest in me. Like he started to show us where everything was going in terms of apps and computers and context aware computing. That was sort of the space. So, context in terms of like your location, your preferences, that was very new at the time. And then integrating that into an app. So, the native app nature of creating an app and knowing what you would like, that was very new. So that really sparked my interest in the field. And then the added creativity of it, like creating something that you could see being used by others and then iterating based on their feedback was so interesting to me. And I could use that creative graphic design side and even push it further into more of like a usable space.
I love it. Everything you design feels clean, intentional, human. It's almost like you're simplifying the world for the rest of us.
Definitely the goal.
Sarah, you work at Disney, a place built on imagination. What has working there taught you about creating magical, simple experiences at a scale?
Yeah, Disney is as everyone has their own memory of Disney, I would say, in terms of like the nostalgia that it sparks in everyone. But yeah, they've really, I think the main thing at Disney is storytelling. Everything, storytelling just makes everything that much more powerful. If you can tell a good story, if you can tap into what really makes someone excited and what makes something magical, that is where your bread and butter is, right? It's really thinking about that story end to end from start to finish and what will push it that much further to make it feel almost unreal, right?
That's gold. And for everyone watching, listen closely because this is the part most people miss. Design isn't software, it's a storytelling, it's human behavior. You just captured that perfectly. That's really good. Now I need to ask you this because it's the question everyone wants answered. How is AI changing the world of product design right now? And do you see it as a threat or a massive opportunity?
Yeah. Now I think the first reaction to all of us, because anything new is scary, a lot of us take it a bit of as a threat, but as you start to learn more and start to integrate it into whatever you do and see the power of like harnessing that power and using it as a tool, I really do think it will elevate our overall design experience and make everything that much better. Yes, there will be, I will say, some takeover in terms of like AI taking over certain things, but that will spark new things like same as the Industrial Revolution, same as every single change in history that we've had,
Right.
something will maybe burn to the ground, but then something else will grow in its place. So I think that's how I see it.
AI is a tool, not a replacement. And the designers who lean into it, not hide from it, will win the next decade. I love the balance you brought to that. So if a new designer is watching this and thinking, what do I focus on now? What skills matter more than ever?
Yeah. I still think, and I'll say this in every industry, learning your foundational knowledge in terms of art and design is still important because AI will design things, but it's not necessarily designing great things, like fundamentally good things that follow those standards and best practices of what we've already, the groundwork we've already laid. Because if you look at AI, it's pulling from what's existing in the world. It doesn't mean it's pulling from good things right now. So we still need to know as practitioners what makes something good versus not so good. So learning those fundamentals in terms of like layout, typography, color, all those things are still important. So I would say definitely know or like learn a bit about those things. And then the technology is next, like mastering some of the software, but the software is changing so fast that you have to continuously learn as a designer. You have to always stay on top of what's changing, what's coming out next. And yeah, personally, like I'll say I'm always learning and I still am going to learn more about AI and how to leverage it in my work because I haven't leveraged it as much as I probably could, but it's again just taking that extra step to explore more.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
You just dropped a master class right there. Now there is a part that I've been excited to talk about. You travel more than most people who are financially free. You join races, events, and explore everywhere you can. Yet you work full time. When did you realize you could build this rhythm into your life?
Yeah, it isn't easy, I'll say that. It's something that I started probably in university, but that was a lot easier when I didn't work full time. I would try to travel almost every 6 months if possible, but now it's more of an intentional plan. I usually try to set goals at least once a year, like, these are the places I'd like to see, these are the things I'd like to do. And by setting that intention or at least, like, having those things on my mind and as that vision of, like, "Okay, this is going to be my year," that's how I've managed to do it, and it's a conversation with my work, of course. These are the things that I've set out for myself, and luckily, I found a place that is supportive of all of that, and they want me to grow as a person, not only inside work, but outside of work, and that is shaping who I am outside of work as well. So yeah, it's a matter of finding the place that will help you grow in both ways. So I think it's important to always ask, like, how do you want us to grow as a person, not only in work, but outside as well?
This is so refreshing. You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You created freedom with the time and resources you had. That's a message a lot of people need to hear. Sarah, most people say, I don't have time. I'm too tired. I work all week. What helped you break out of that mindset?
I definitely am tired sometimes. Not a robot, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's balance, it's give and take, it's taking those rests when you do need them. So sleep is very important. Like, definitely get the sleep you need to restore and like rejuvenate and be ready for the day. But in terms of balance, yeah, it's just a matter of again kind of setting that plan for yourself. So if it's for me, for example, I always have a day that I go and spend time with family or loved ones. It's like that's the day that I protect in terms of that day because I want to do that and that I want that to be a part of my week. I teach night school, so that is also something that I put on the calendar and I don't I don't overlap anything within that time. Exercise is also very important to me, so just carving out that time and making sure you, prioritize and protect that space for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And the way you speak about it makes it feel possible. You're a living proof that freedom isn't a number in a bank account, it's a mindset. And you briefly mentioned on balance in life, but is there any personal formula for balancing work, travel, adventure, and recovery that you follow? And you have a vision for your life that you try to achieve? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, yeah. I've always been I would say, like, very I rely a lot on lists, and I know that's kind of like I make a lot of lists, and it kind of just sets, again, that space where I can put in, like, a bucket being like, "Okay, this is, like these are the dream travel locations that I'd like to go to," and I put that in my travel list, and these are the events I'd like to do or the things I'd like to learn, like Ironman or the triathlon was the thing that I focused on in terms of learning this year and training for. So that was always something that was kind of on my radar, but I put it in that list or that space where I could refer back and be like, "Okay, this is the time that I have now this year to do this, and that's when I'm going to do it." And the same goes for travel. I saw this year I have a wedding I'm going to in Argentina. This was the year that I'm going to travel in South America. So it kind of just like I pull from that space that I have when I see an opportunity to do those things, and just kind of add it in and again plan ahead a bit if I can.
I love how simple you make it. People think balance is complicated. You're showing it's just a few smart decisions repeated over time. And can you tell us a little bit more about that Ironman? Because it's a big thing, and how long did it take you to get prepared?
Yeah. So yeah, I
And where the idea come from?
yeah. So I grew up always playing sports. I was always an athlete. Volleyball was my main sport that I played competitively since I was about 12 years old, and then the rest were all just things that I tried in school and outside of school as well. And yeah, the natural like competitive nature in me. I love just like a good competition, and sport also gives you that focus like in many aspects of life. Like it taught me being on a team taught me so many things, not only like to support your teammates, but to show up for people, to show up on time, to be a leader when you need to be. So sport just brought me so much in my life that I continue to chase like activity because it just makes you feel great as well. So what ended up happening was over the years, of course, team sports sort of slowed down, and I still wanted that outlet to kind of have a focus, have something that I can say I worked for and achieved through small daily actions. It was just like small, consistent, again, training an hour a day or sometimes more for the triathlon. But yeah, it just gave me that focus and something that I'm really proud that I can say I achieved. And yeah, it took me about 6 months to train for it. Combination of course, the disciplines. It's swim, bike, run. So yeah, you just kinda do those things over and over again. My friends were also very supportive. It spread and inspired other people around me to do things. I know a few of my friends entered races as well, like running, and they started getting into other activities, so it kind of was, like, contagious. It was a really special event that I would say I still am going to probably do more Ironman events. The community is great as well. And yeah, it just gave me that focus and I still feel great. The fitness, of course, continues.
Beautiful. It's so powerful. We always hear, surround yourself with the right people.
Mhm.
I bet you are one of those right people.
Thank you.
Great, great. Sarah, you work, you teach, you design, you travel, you move. What keeps your energy so high?
I mean, energy definitely it's fueling properly, so eating good food. I mostly cook at home. The sleep I already mentioned, like getting proper sleep. And again, keeping your stress levels low or trying to manage them. Like I do another thing that I do most days is I go out for a walk every day since I work remotely. I have to again have that time to just decompress a little bit. And yeah, just trying to balance. It's definitely not easy. Like sometimes there are days where you just don't have the energy to go and do those things. Having again that
Obviously.
vision or that focus, for example, having that Ironman in mind definitely kept me a little bit more focused on okay, this needs to be done today. Have that energy to do that training, and then the rest of the day is more relaxed.
That's powerful. Energy isn't accidental, it's engineered, and you have engineered it beautifully. What does freedom mean to you? Not someday, not in theory, but right now in your daily life.
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly freedom is feeling happy, feeling relaxed, and just kind of doing what those things that again bring you joy, and not having to worry about everything else around you. It's always a work in progress, but yeah, I think it's just feeling comfortable with where you're at, and that comes from doing those things that fill your cup every day. So you fill your cup, you feel like, okay, I'm at peace with where I'm at right now, and that I think makes you feel free.
That's the heart of this episode. And honestly, that alone will shift something for a lot of people watching. Thank you for sharing. You're not retired, you still work. But you live like someone who values their time deeply. What mindset helped you get there?
Hmm. I mean, I always said this as a kid. My mom can still recall. I always said I won't wait till I retire to like be happy, and that was always ever since I was young. I always thought that like, why would I wait till I'm old to go and do these things? So again, I just try to balance not being retired or working and then doing those things that, of course, bring you happiness. So yeah, I don't believe in really waiting for the right moments. I think you just have to take the opportunity when it presents itself or make those opportunities for yourself however you can because you never really know what's coming tomorrow.
Such a grounded way to look at life. Not reckless, not impulsive, just intentional. I love it. Everyone sees the travel, the creativity, the career, but what's failure that shaped you in a positive way?
Okay. I mean, I don't look at things as necessarily failures, but they're learning opportunities, right? But
I
I will
love it. I love
say
it.
being again, back to the school mentioning, like, I started in the print industry, like, it wasn't necessarily a failure, but it was, like, not really knowing exactly what I wanted, so it was more of an experimental phase where I started in one industry and realized it wasn't for me, so I did have to do a few extra years of school back then, when I was in university just to switch into the career that I'm in now, to pursue something that was more that I saw more fit for my overall needs and future. But yeah, so that was quite a long time ago. But in terms of like career now, yeah, I always just look at these, I won't call them failures, but these, I guess, like lower parts of life as experiences that you learn from, right? And just continue to build up from. So I can't recall exactly one recently, but I guess, yeah, just maybe being unprepared sometimes for certain scenarios. But like when I go into, I interview a lot of people for work or, uh, you can make mistakes, but you always, the nature of my job is iterating on what you learn. So I think I approach life like that as well.
Thank you for sharing that. I believe words have weight. And the way that you put it, I really love that. You do not consider those experiences as failure, but as learning opportunities. With everything evolving, tech, AI, travel, design, how do you stay curious instead of overwhelmed?
Yeah, I mean, we have so much information coming at us every day from so many different channels. So it is hard to not feel overwhelmed sometimes, but I think we have adapted and changed a lot to, like, take in a lot more information, so that's just, like, how we are now, always multitasking, like, if you see generations before us, they don't multitask, not that I am advocating for multitasking, but it kind of is, like, the nature of how we live today, right? We're kind of, like, watching TV, answering a message, so that's sort of, yeah, how it is, but in terms of not feeling overwhelmed, I will say, like, I do back to those lists, I prioritize, like, what I would like to do in a day or what needs more focus than other things, and then just try to go through those things in a day, but, yeah, and then in terms of, like, silencing notifications, I definitely try to silence in, like, the morning and the evening parts of my day to not feel overwhelmed, but yeah, it's not easy. You have to prioritize what you want to focus on, otherwise it will feel overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a beautiful mindset. It is a muscle, and you have clearly kept it strong. And avoiding distraction is a big thing. Absolutely. So, is there any book, movie, or medium that they have helped you throughout your life? So to shape who you are right now, to shape your philosophy of life, something that you can share with the audience.
Yeah. When it comes to design and career, I will say one book that definitely always comes to mind is like Start With Why. It's Simon Sinek. I think it's called Start With Why.
Yeah, that's a beautiful book.
Yeah, yeah. And we try to do that always in the workplace as well. Like go back to the why, because a lot of times you can get a little bit too far off what the real reason is why you're doing something. And that doesn't only apply to design, it applies to whatever you're doing. Like, ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Is it really going to add value? All those questions should be asked early on when you're approaching or pursuing something. So I'll say that was definitely that's definitely a book I would recommend. A long time ago, The Alchemist was always a book that I think, I really enjoyed kind of following again, following your heart, following what not always having, like, a set plan, but just kind of enjoying the journey, and that's how I've always kind of approached things, like, not worrying too much about the outcome and just kinda going with whatever happens, but having that vision and that intention still in the back of my mind.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So, what is the next summit you're climbing toward right now?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I mentioned I'd like to still do another Ironman event potentially, so that's on my radar.
So, you like the experience?
I It's funny because I when I was in the run portion of it, I said I would never do it again, but there's something about it being, like, crossing the finish line and being done. It still is something that, I think I would do again. It did bring me a real sense of accomplishment, and I think I mentioned the training for me was also something that, you have something to focus on and something to look forward to and aim towards.
And obviously, you had great positive impact on your friends as well.
That too, and again, you mentioned the community aspect of it, so I was, going out for bike rides with friends and you kind of make a day of it. It's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah, apart from Iron Man.
yeah, apart from Ironman, I'm going on another big trip, so South America was always on my radar, so I'm finally doing it. I'm going to 5 countries, and I'm going for about just over 6 weeks. I'm going to be going to
Wonderful.
Galapagos, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, ending with the wedding that I mentioned, my friend's getting
Will
married.
you go down there to Patagonia as well?
I will be going to Patagonia, yes.
You would love it. This is
Yes,
a wonderful trip.
yes.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So, is there yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
that's the start of the year, and then, we'll see what else unfolds when I get back.
So, career-wise, where do you see yourself in the next couple of years? Is there anything special that you're moving toward, or you feel happy where you are now?
Yeah, I do think I've definitely found my niche. Like, right now, I'm designing enterprise tools. So, at Disney, I design tools that help power like Disney Plus and all the other consumer facing products. So, how you successfully release content on those products or to our audience, that's essentially what I do right now. I can see myself potentially moving into other spaces, and I think the other thing about AI, I'd like to do a little bit more in terms of learning how I can leverage it, how I can harness the power of it, and then start, of course, using that more in my design practice. And then potentially creating something on my own. I would love to work on something like a passion project on the side. I've done that in the past, but I think there's no better time to do it now with all the tools we have available.
Fantastic. So, I love that. And I have no doubt you're going to get there. So, I give you the floor to talk about whatever you've been wanting to talk about for a long time.
Hmm. Is there any sort of
Career-wise, personal-wise,
yeah,
something that you want to share with the global audience, whatever.
sure. I think what you mentioned kind of sparked my interest about freedom, but I think I would ask like what success means to us as in the current day, like what is success to us as a community, as people. I always think about that because I think success is defined very differently, like maybe in our parents' generation, but now our generation and what makes us feel rich, quote unquote rich, is very different, right? Like I think your podcast is all about really like the life experiences and what makes us feel rich as people, not necessarily monetary richness. So
Absolutely.
that's something like I never felt like I needed high like fancy things or a big fancy house or a fancy car or like a lot of money to feel successful. It was always, like, feeling like I've done the things I've wanted to do in life, like, that is what my definition of success is, and I always wonder, like, what it means today to be successful, right? Of course, things are very expensive, so still need a bit of monetary success, but I think, we've really changed in terms of our definition of success today.
Yeah, as you know, the existence of this podcast is based on the concept of health fuels wealth
Mhm.
and both unlock freedom. And
Yeah.
everyone's definition of freedom is different, unique to themselves. That makes this journey interesting, so because it's important, how you feel. And everyone has a different feeling. Thank you for sharing yours. So, for everyone watching, if something Sarah said today sparked something in you, drop the comment about the trip you have been putting off, the habit you want to start, or the freedom you want to build. And if this episode gave you value, hit the like button so we can bring more voices like hers to the table. Sarah, this has been powerful. Your story is a reminder that freedom isn't something you wait for. It's something you build with small intentional choices every single day. Thank you for being here, for sharing your energy, and for showing what's possible when curiosity becomes a lifestyle. And to everyone watching, keep climbing, stay curious, and design a life that feels like your own summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.